If you're anything like the average person, you've developed some less than ideal money habits. But as long as you master some of these important concepts early on, you'll be well on your way to becoming wealthy. Learning them at a young age will make it exponentially easier for you to be financially well off, while those who never learn them will find themselves in a constant state of struggle. These are some important money concepts you should learn as early as possible, and make sure to stay until the end to hear one concept that will completely change the way you think about money. My name is Chris, and I help teach people about money, personal finance, and investing. If you want to become financially free and not have to worry about money, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you find it helpful. Net worth is a measure of your financial health. While it doesn't show the entire picture, it provides excellent insight into your situation. In short, net worth is the total value of every item you own, including bank accounts, retirement accounts, and all other assets in your name, minus any debt you owe. Assets minus liabilities equals your net worth. Tracking this figure at an early age and keeping an eye on changes over time can be a great help because you can easily see progress that might not be obvious in the short term. You're in a good place if your net worth is positive, but many people find that theirs is negative, meaning they have work to do. It's incredibly helpful to track net worth so you can see progress year after year, even when it feels like nothing is changing day to day. Most people know that inflation decreases the purchasing power of the dollar, but there's more to it. As the price of goods rises, the dollar doesn't go as far as it once did. At a 5% annual inflation rate, the dollar loses about 5% of its value each year and is cut in half in roughly 14 years. You must be aware of how this affects your income when it's time to negotiate pay. If your boss offers a 3% raise during 5% inflation, you're actually taking a 2% pay cut. A 5% raise during 5% inflation doesn't even mean an increase in pay. Cash left uninvested in a bank account also loses value to inflation. For example, a savings account paying 3% interest while inflation is 5% results in a 2% loss in purchasing power. This may not matter much for small amounts over short periods of time, but it becomes a serious factor over the long term. Liquidity refers to how quickly and easily you can access your money. Cash or money in a bank account is highly liquid because you can access it immediately at no cost. Retirement accounts, on the other hand, are not liquid. Money in a 401k or IRA is intended for retirement and typically comes with penalties and fees if withdrawn early. On top of that, investments can lose value if withdrawn during downturns. Investing is powerful, but it's important to remember that invested money is basically inaccessible in the near term, so always keep savings set aside for emergencies. Interest is a double-edged sword. When saving, interest works in your favor and grows your money. When borrowing, you pay interest to the lender for the privilege of using their money. This can be good or bad depending on the situation. For example, an investor might borrow money at 5% interest to purchase a rental property that earns a 10% return. A car buyer might finance a vehicle at 0% interest and invest their lump sum instead. In these situations, paying interest isn't harmful because it allows the borrower to benefit. High-interest debt, however, is almost always harmful, while low-interest debt can sometimes work to your advantage. Compound interest is one of the most powerful concepts in finance. Albert Einstein even called it the eighth wonder of the world. Those who understand it earn it, while those who don't end up paying it. The beauty of compound interest is that your money grows exponentially. Each year, you don't just earn interest on your original investment, you also earn interest on the interest that accumulated in prior years. Over decades, the majority of your wealth will likely come from compounding rather than from the money you personally contributed. That means you don't need to save millions to retire. Compound growth does much of the heavy lifting if you invest consistently. Even small amounts can grow significantly over time. Market crashes are a normal part of investing. Yet each time one occurs, many investors panic and sell, locking in their losses. A market crash, or bear market, is when prices drop 20% or more from their highs. These occur fairly often. Since 1928, the S&P 500 has dropped 20% or more on 22 different occasions, on average, once every 4.5 years. Historically, it takes the market about 388 days to recover from a bear market. If your plan is to become wealthy, You must understand that downturns are not unusual and they don't mean the world is ending. Selling everything in a panic is rarely the best option. Risk tolerance is your comfort level with the ups and downs of investing. If the stock market is like a roller coaster, risk tolerance measures how willing you are to stay on the ride. Someone with a high risk tolerance might view a crash as an opportunity to buy more aggressively. A risk-averse person, on the other hand, might shy away from investing altogether. Risk tolerance depends on emotions, age, and future income. Too much risk can wipe you out, while too little can prevent you from benefiting from compounding. On average, the S&P 500 drops 20% or more every 4.5 years, so investors should keep that in mind. Many people benefit from balanced strategies such as target date funds or S&P 500 index funds. The time value of money is the idea that $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow because today's dollar can be invested to grow. When you have money now, you can either spend it or invest it. For example, $100 invested in the S&P 500 with an average 10% annual return would grow to over $600 after 30 years, even after accounting for 4% inflation. Looking at money this way makes you think more carefully before spending unnecessarily, because the opportunity cost of not investing becomes very clear. These concepts aren't difficult to understand, but the earlier you learn them, the better off you'll be. You don't want to look back decades from now, tired and regretful, wishing you had started sooner.